then just simply roll over them.
Well, it is game 3 ready here for our teams as we head into the battleground. It is going to be Sky Temple. Granit Gaming staying with the first pick. Sky Temple, always a scary one to go to, especially when you are clinging to life. Whenever we go to this battleground, it feels like you really have to have a strong early game, or you'll fall victim to a large push with the Temple shredding away on your forts and keeps.
Now, Sky Temple is, of course, the map where Fnatic already played their Abathur composition just last week with Valera, so that's one of the things that Granit Gaming has to think about. But even outside of the Abathur play, and then maybe even going for another kill composition, there's also the chance that we see the globals emerge once again, and that Fnatic is going to prioritize those. So it's definitely going to be difficult for Granit Gaming to draft against Fnatic here, since it seems that this is a map where they have a huge variety of potential ways that they could go.
Last week, if I remember correctly, they played very macro heavy with the false stat as you mentioned, but also Malthael for last hope, being able to trade out his deaths if he needed to, even that late game, to make sure it keeps you to be secured for Fnatic. So watch out for that as a potential pickup. Granit Gaming opens up with a ban on Genji. See if Fnatic does the same ban as we've seen already, Tracer, which would be 3 for 3.
Those are the 2 heroes that have been banned every single series so far today, and also the most popular bans that we see in HGC Europe at this point. So we would assume that Tracer is being banned out here, but since it is Sky Temple and we're talking heavily about the globals, this could be changing things up slightly.
A Docker ban is not out of the question here. You were talking about globals. If Fnatic wants to go that route.
I mean, we talked about Fnatic trying to be a bit more macro-oriented, so I would say you could still also think about an Abathur ban.
True,
here.
yeah.
So we have seen Fnatic play Abathur last time, but Abathur is still targeted by a lot of teams on bigger maps, as for example, Towers of Doom, Cursed Hollow.
There it is.
And there we have it. Abathur gets the priority over Tracer, which leaves Tracer up, and that makes things interesting for Granit Gaming right away, because they now have to decide, do we pick Tracer, or are we okay if Shrimpy picks Tracer up on Fnatic's end?
Old roster of Granit Gaming would have gone to it instantly. Rosmeg was a Tracer player, but the question is, Minecraft someone that wants to move into it themselves. We've seen when, Darkmark was on Team Liquid, he did do Tracer a couple of times as well, so it is doable if Granit Gaming wants to move that route.
I mean, you have to have a Tracer player in your team.
Yeah, it's true.
There's just no way that you're playing competitive without someone that can play Tracer. If your opponents find that out, you're going to have a massive problem in your hands every single game, because you're going to be forced into a Tracer ban no matter where you are, or your opponent's going to run with it. So they go for Tracer, and Fnatic had to assume that that would be the case. So let's see how they're going to react here.
So Wolf Joe going to play Tracer for us. That's what we're going to get here from Granit Gaming. Jokes aside, I know, hilarious. First and second pick coming in for Fnatic. How do you want to control the Tracer? I'm just saying, man. If you need a Tracer player, what's not you?
Not every team has Saka.
Jokes aside, like honestly, every time you watch support players in Hero League, they're playing Genji and Tracer or Zeratul. It feels like they just want to like
girls just want to have fun.
I guess so, man. I guess so.
But not everyone has Saka as a support on that team.
Dehaka, Malfurion coming in.
Globals.
Yep.
Talk about Dehaka coming in early and potentially even being banned out, but of course with Abathur still there. Now we have, that was the ban that they prioritized. Now we have Dehaka taken for last hope. And to be fair, it's the hero where so far he looked the best. I mean, we've only seen a very, very small sample size of what last hope can do. We've seen it on Malthael, we've seen him on Urel, and we've seen him on Dehaka. Not quite sure if they played anything else with him last week, but on those 3, I feel Dehaka is his best.
It's his foundation, that's for sure. And if you have a top laner that can run Dehaka, it's a good foundation to start with.
They played a bit of a different style in the way that they engaged on Dragonshine. We talked about that. They didn't really rotate him this aggressively into the 3-man to try and set something up here for a kill. But last week, he definitely was one of the players that was very impressive in the way that he engaged into the fights and was basically hitting every single drag that he had and connected those to set up kills or even just a CC combo. But we have already, first of all, the Tracer composition, of course, enhanced by Tassadar being picked and Samuro being banned out.
And Samuro might just be one of these bans that Fnatic's like, okay, we just want to make sure nothing cheesy happens, nothing wonky happens. They mentioned in the interview, they feel like in straight-up team fights, they can take on their opponents pretty well. I mean, when it came to them being spread out against Team Liquid, the Vikings was a instrumental pickup for Team Liquid to break Fnatic down. You can see the same thing here for Samuro. Granit Gaming moves into a Sergeant Hammer ban. make sure they can't set up. And Sergeant Hammer, to be fair, pretty strong against Tracer.
Exactly. Very, very good against Tracer and against the double support composition that would already have helped them here. So a good ban from Granit Gaming too. Hammer, after the mid-season brawl, definitely made her way into the meta. So, pretty decent bans, good setup for both of the teams. The Haka Malfurion is a solid foundation for Fnatic, whereas the Tracer composition is already looking pretty for Granit Gaming, with Muradin now taking the front line. Just again, showcasing how much of a priority he has at this point. I mentioned it earlier, but we have Muradin with currently 7 wins and 8 losses. I actually think I mixed it up earlier where I quoted Malfurion stats instead of Muradin's, but yeah, before coming in, Muradin was sitting at 50%.
Wondering if we might get a Li Ming here from Fnatic. I know in most cases Tracer diving into Li Ming can be a little bit scary, but I feel like Mene in particular, when he can play Li Ming against a Tassadar, he loves it. He will go for the opportunity to blow him up at any point. Garrosh comes in, and there is the Li Ming, as Mene is going to attempt to delete Tassadar from the field. And he might get it if Tassadar's not careful.
And that leaves Shrimpy on the flex pick, so right now he can either go for Falstad if they feel they should run a double global again as they did before. He still has the opportunity to go into Tychus to shred Muradin if they think that that's the way to go here. And that could definitely be the setup for them, trying to use Tychus once more. And we talked about this already in the first phase. Tychus I still think is a bit undervalued, and right now we have some teams that start to pick him up again. I don't think he's going to be one of these insta picks,
sure,
but I think we're going to see him appear a lot more often now in phase 2 of 2018 than before, whenever there is a high hit point tank on the other side.
He becomes this flavor of the week for like 1 to 2 weeks and then just completely falls off again, and I can see that happening, especially in this composition. You mentioned burning down Muradin, but also having Olden, whenever Tracer comes in and drop down that pulse bomb, you immediately get 25 resistance, and you're able to lock down and say, I want to fight here too as well, meaning Tracer has to back away if she's unable to get that kill. It's actually pretty difficult to do, as Tychus is actually pretty darn robust when it comes to a health bar.
So for Fnatic, of course, the goal is going to be to take a 3-0 here, just so that they can set themselves up in the standings. Keep in mind, they only played a single series yet. They only played 1 series on the first weekend of HGC, and that was against Team Liquid, where they dropped 3 maps. So for their map score, it would already be great if they could now take that 3-0 victory here. Rega and Leoric are coming in on the back end for Granit Gaming. Rega again rising in popularity through the latest patch. The cleanse, of course, also super important here once more. Panic button if Garrosh gets a good throw in through Ancestral. Works out quite well too. You have Tassadar on that end. And with this comp, it's actually going to be interesting what Tassadar picks on level 4. With Tracer, you see normally Life Leech picked more so than anything else. Against Garrosh, it's oftentimes armor, but I would say over here you have a lot of heroes that can escape and have tools where they can get away after Garrosh initiated. So I wouldn't be surprised to see extra Life Leech taken by Tassadar instead.
So we're thinking Tychus. Phoenix could also work here. Ooh, we get Falstad.
Yeah, so they go for the double global. Again, out rotation gives you more boss control as well. Where you have, what else do they have? I mean, they have Garrosh, so that already helps them when Garrosh steps up after a boss fight and throws a target out. Now you have a Gust as well.
They got the control.
A lot of it too, especially with Li Ming probably going to Wave of Force as well.
Is that Shrimpy on Li Ming, or is it going to be... Okay, Falstad is Shrimpy.
Yeah, also it's going to be Shrimpy again.
Yeah.
And he struggled a bit more on Dragonshire. Again, I feel for Shrimpy, it's now one of these things where there's a lot of pressure on him, just because he has to fill the shoes of Quacknix, and especially when it came to macro control, Quacknix did extremely well, yeah, and that's something that they struggled at the last time. So I think that's something on his mind for sure, and the question now is going to be how is he going to handle it here. But the double global worked in game number 1, and they're going to try and pull off another victory with it.
It can work even more well on this battleground if you're able to get an early lead, so we'll be keeping an eye out for that. If you were to pick one of the drafts that you would choose to win this one, what would you choose? If the names were deleted.
If the names were deleted, I would I don't think that's a fair question, because you always have the question who's on Tracer.
Yeah, sure.
So with that setup, I have to give it to Fnatic, because I'm not sure if Granit Gaming can pull the Tracer play off. But it always depends on how good is your Tracer player in the setup. But if we had a great Tracer player on Granit, like one of the top 2, then I would say this comp can still make it work. But I'm not quite sure if Memecraft is there yet, where he has the confidence in his ability to play on that level in HGC.
Here on the left side in the blue, Falstad played by Shrimpy, Smexy on Malfurion, Mene on Li Ming, Breeze on Garrosh, and Last Hope to play the Haka.
And over to the right side with a huge burden on his shoulders now. Memecraft on Tracer. A lot is going to hinge on him. Darkmorg is going to play Leoric. We have Wolfjaw on the support playing Rhaegar. Raid Boss at that front line with Muradin and Nanda on Tassadar.
So, we'll be keeping an eye on Dahaka and Falstad. They'll be the game changers here in the early game. But one that we haven't seen in a while is Breeze on Garrosh. And what he do against his opponent? Decent poke coming in from them so far. Between Tassadar, even Tracer can be a bit annoying, but as long as he controls that front line well, which he should be able to do. Finding picks should be a breeze for him.
Oldie but goldie. My eyes are definitely going to be on Memecraft here. We talked last week about how him coming into HGC is, of course, always one of the big question marks where you need to give a player a bit of time to adjust to the pressure. Since it might look a bit easier when you are playing in an online environment compared to offline events, and that's definitely true, but there's still a lot more pressure when you play in the official match for a player that hasn't experienced that yet. And then having him on Tracer right away, where in a double support composition, most of your damage really hinges on you, puts even more of a strain onto you. So Memecraft, he will have to come into his own very, very quickly here. And if he can pull it off, there's a lot of good targets on the other side, but he definitely has to shine now if they want to take him up today.
I will say on Hanzo, he looked a little bit more clean than what we saw last week. A couple of missed arrows here and there, but that's pretty forgivable.
Oh yeah, and he got a couple of really nice kills. One against Shrimpy, for example, on Dragonshire comes to mind. Had a couple of really good moves, actually, in general. Like, his Hanzo play looked pretty solid. But yeah, Tracer is a different question here.
So far, Granite Gaming goes play for the night camp. Only got the bottom lane pushing in. Trying to get a little bit of pressure on Fnatic here. Maybe try to keep them at bay. They don't grab their own night camp. See if Granite Gaming can make that happen here.
That's a really early night camp. I like it.
It is early.
They're using Rhaegar and the wave clear that he offers in the camp clear, the speed to simply rotate and take the advantage to that. So oftentimes we see the night camps taken roughly around the same time. You're most of the time trying to just delay your own slightly so that you have the added advantage of being in tower range. Nice pressure against Shrimpy, and down he goes. False play for Shrimpy today. Not looking too good. Gets jumped upon, taken out. Good kill here by Tracer, Rhaegar, and Muradin. And of course now the pressure at the top lane, which should actually even help them, maybe even take a tower.
The bird becoming a blurb. Granite Gaming looking for this tower. Already had an experience here, about a quarter so far. So don't forget, Dahaka can rotate at any point, so they're being careful. Wolfjaw playing as safe as he can. These turrets getting pretty beat up. Also, Death to fly in the middle lane, while Tassadar is on the way to actually help Granite Gaming. They are actually going to commit to this fort, it looks like, and control this temple.
They are getting a massive amount of value here. Nearly taking down the wall itself. I mean, just look at how experience just spiked up for Granite Gaming, and if they are able to take the top temple, this should be a fort for them. So that's where Fnatic is going to invest a lot of the resources to make sure that that doesn't happen. But definitely a situation where Fnatic is now the ones that have to react to what Granite Gaming does. Armor, by the way, taken on 4 for Tassadar, so Kala's Light. Not going for the extra life leech, making sure that if there is any kind of setup by Garrosh or maybe by a Dahaka Tongue, they can save the target, even with the shields that we will see later on from Rhaegar and the potential Ancestral healing.
Fnatic is holding this top lane with 3 members. Granite Gaming and not committing the idea of pushing in. They do have a pulse bomb, they should soon. There is always the worry of Dahaka and Falstad flying in. That's why they're playing reserve so far. Fnatic doing pretty well, while Dahaka just takes all the shots in the middle lane without any issues.
Yeah, Dahaka's moving into the middle now. Make sure that he soaks there. Falstad is still busy down at the bottom of the map. But Granite Gaming with the earlier level 7, so they already nick away at those hit points of the fort. And they should be able to get that quite easily. Leoric is still rotating between mid and bottom, double soaking as we speak. But the globals so far haven't really been used to initiate anything here.
Granite Gaming keeping 3 in the top. Really wanting this fort, want to continue this experience that they have. Fnatic doing everything they can to slow it down, even having Smexy tank those minions. Clears it out well.
No, it's a decent start for Granite Gaming. They're not going to be too upset about how this has shaped up so far.
Sure.
They already set up another trap here. And for Fnatic, a lot is definitely going to hinge on the global play. Last Hope, Shrimpy, those are the 2 that we have to watch out for, especially when we're heading into the second objective phase. How long are they going to hold lines? How long are we going to see them in the middle and at the top before the rotation to the bot lane fight are going to start? And can they then initiate properly?
Now this night camp is going to help delay this top lane. Ooh, also even moving up. Breeze thinking about moving in. Won't have a ground breaker yet. They actually didn't finish that night camp. They're going to wait and try to hold it for the last second. You don't want to have your night camp be a form of defense. You want it to be a form of aggressive play that you can pull in, so they're going to go for that. Schwimpy, the bottom lane, already dealing with Rain Boss holding in. Dahaka burrows forward, but Schwimpy taken out. Pulse Bubble even hit Manny too. He's low, but Memecraft gets thrown into a fort, and that means Fnatic will be able to take that fight and the Giants.
Yeah, Breeze, Fnatic actually lost the Giants.
And the Night Camp. Oh no, Darkmark just sneaks over and grabs it, takes it away like it's candy.
Yeah. Things are not looking good here. And again, Schwimpy is just a little bit too eager here. So the problem is that we have Granit Gaming taking their own Siege Giants. They're realizing that Fnatic is most likely working on their own mercenary camp. They move over, they see it, and there is no tank. Breeze isn't there with them, so he's starting to rotate in, but Muradin jumps in and Schwimpy barrel rolled forward because he was trying to grab onto the camp, but then he's too squishy and he can't really take that at the front. So this is one of those moments where you just need to let the camp go because you don't have your tank with you to sustain you through that. Talking about tanks, by the way, just look at the 10 on Muradin's side.
Moves into the Haymaker. Wanted to deliver the punches. I like it. Why not? It's game 3.
Yeah?
Gotta make some plays.
If they can get a blow up here at any point, that would be great for them. And after 16 comes in, we're probably going to see the launch again. So a big jump for Muradin, and then a quick Haymaker can make all the difference if you get the right target. We also have now Falstad and Dahaka, of course, soaking, since 10 wasn't there for Fnatic because of the death of Schwimpy for the second time. And also the 2 camps being stolen away. Granit Gaming had the early lead on their heroic abilities. There was no boss taken. They're trying to go for Darkmark here, but they lost out on that temple. Good cleanse from Wolfjo, that was important one. And a turnaround attempt.
Memecraft's coming in here. We'll have a Pulsum available. Garrosh tosses, Muradin in, goes for the taunt. With Haymaker here, you don't have that avatar. The Ancestral has to be on point. It is, but it's not enough. Raid Boss gets cleaned up, and the rest of Fnatic are moving in. There is a drag available for Last Hope. He secures it, and Darkmark will be the next to fall.
Nice double kill here. They're trying to go for the triple. Breeze moves away. It was a great silence, by the way, by Malfurion. The Twilight Dream making sure that there was no Haymaker being used after we saw Muradin already looking for that. And then Last Hope connecting the drag again. Last week he showed great skill with that. Fantastic skill shots on his part. And on Dragonshy, he missed 1 or 2, but right now he's doing exceptionally well of securing these kills for them that they desperately needed considering how the early game went.
Last Hope. Definitely skilled with the tongue. Continuously lands them. Fnatic now making a play here for the bottom lane as they start to clear up.
Yeah, all the girls say so. So, Fnatic at this point, you didn't even catch that. Dude, like you... like, Tim, you seriously, never changed, Tim. Never changed. Wolfjo taking the camp here. Tim is still shaking his head, not quite knowing what was actually going on here. But we have now another camp taken, and that's something that we talked about earlier. So Wolfjo trying to make sure that they get all the camps. That's what Rhaegar really excels at. And with a slight Rhaegar buff, there's no surprise that he makes his way back into being a priority support here. You have the Cleanse, you have the Ancestral, and of course the Wave Clear now too. And they've done well when it comes to camps on the map. I mean, they basically took... they even stole their opponent's night camp away.
Yeah. And when you're thinking about Rhaegar and where you should pick him up, always consider him in double tank compositions like you see here between Muradin and Leoric. The thing about Granit Gaming right now, though, is they're really hanging in when it comes to experience. Almost 13, but Fnatic is about to change that. And working on the fort at the top right.
You also have to think about that Granit Gaming was ahead, so Fnatic actually caught up and closed the gap. But yeah, Granit Gaming is still in a position where they can with the... I mean, let's say they get a kill or 2 here. They could immediately move for a boss and try and play around that. They're actually already scouting out the area down here, hoping that they can catch someone going onto the Siege Giant camp of Fnatic. It's not quite the case, but they can steal it away.
Giants possibly being taken here, but watch out for Breeze. He's sniffing it out as he moves in. Fnatic can have Falstad flying at any point, and that's red. It's just enough to make sure that Granit Gaming walks away. Falstad's not even attempting to come down, staying in the top lane. He wants to grab that fort instead, and potentially that temple. Not holding here, but the temple continues to shell on the bottom. Leoric gets it.
Breeze is in a lot of trouble here, and he's trying to go away. That's not quite working. The isolation connects as Last Hope moves in. Falstad is still at the top. They're not rotating him in, and Last Hope finds himself now in trouble too. He's trying to burrow away. He actually escapes.
Wow.
Short burrow distance, but that's all that he needed. No interrupt, no Stormbolt, no Haymaker, and therefore no problem for Dahaka to get out of this. I thought he was dead.
I thought he was dead too. But Granit Gaming, with Dahaka leaving, moves in straight for this boss. Fawcett's still continuing to push that top lane while Dahaka will start to grab that temple at the top. That'll give them that middle fort at least. But Granit Gaming making the power play here. They'll have the bottom lane to push into.
It's, again, a bit of a weird game. It's very... This reminds me a lot of Dragonshire with the two globals that they had. And it's not quite the rotations and the engagements that I would have expected from Fnatic if you were to have told me that they're going into a double global composition.
But also, when we think about Dragonshire, one of the issues that we had with Granit Gaming is they weren't ever forcing anything. They weren't going in for towers. They weren't trying to invade the giant camps. They've changed that here for Sky Temple, and it's proving some results.
To be fair, it's easier to force here because you have a boss. So
True.
that makes it a lot easier for even the camps that are a bit more in the center of the map. So it allows you to easier force a fight. But yeah, the Haka now taking the top. They can't take him, but they need to defend the bot lane. And that's exactly where they are right now, trying to make sure that they burst that down. Granit Gaming is looking and hoping for a kill, they're not going to find it here, but Fnatic should still be able to hold on to that keep again.
They do. Takes a little bit of damage there. I was actually expecting Dahaka to maybe get a little aggressive, come in from behind. With Leoric being on the top, it could be a prime opportunity for Fnatic to get a nice little 5v4. Doesn't open up for them, but 16 right around the corner. Fnatic working on that. There is one fort to the bottom right for Granit Gaming, but it is low on health. Should be an easy pickup for Fnatic, and they actually start to take an experience lead.
They take that experience lead. It's an interesting game because from a structural point of view, we have the slight lead for Granit Gaming, especially through the bot lane. So objectives are going to be a bit stronger for them. We're going to see a double temple activated in the next phase up to the top and in the middle. But Fnatic now with level 16 talents, they are going to try and be a bit more aggressive. And through the 16, they now also have a lot more kill potential here. I'm still interested to see, I mean, we have how many stacks right now? 33 for Falstad. So Shrimpy, thanks to the wave clear that he had the entire time, is definitely racking up the damage points now. 13 stacks for Muradin. Only 7 stacks for the perfect storm for Raid Boss, by the way.
Not really finding the fights that he wants so far.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at it, it's only 6 kills. Typically, around the second temple phase, you see a little bit more in those kills. A lot of macro coming in here from Fnatic, really kind of avoiding those fights. Breeze stepping up now as he goes to control this bottom right side with that camp being grabbed. It seems like the job of the 4-man is just to make sure not to die. Look threatening, but don't really move in. Just peacock.
Yeah, I think the problem for Granit Gaming is just simply going to be that the more the map opens up now, as usual, the globals are going to become stronger. So now that we have the temples activated mid and top lane, you can just have your globals at the bottom of the map, and as long as you make sure that you're not getting ganked, you will be able to push that lane out and still go into the fight. So I would like Fnatic to flip the switch a little bit faster when they actually try to go into a fight, but in the long run, this game is going to become more difficult for Granit Gaming just simply because there is going to be such a huge potential to out-macro Granit Gaming here. But we have the 16 of Muradin. We talked about it earlier. So you have Dwarf Launch now, and you have Haymaker.
Yeah.
Creating an opportunity with that is definitely possible.
He can force a fight. He has to be careful of Breeze, though. Making sure not to get taunted and blown up, especially with that giant killer hammering away on you.
Interesting enough, Fnatic also doesn't have a hero at the bot lane. I really thought that they would send one of their globals down to clean out, let's say, two waves and set up those siege giants a bit better for a push.
You're gonna let the giants do the work. Dahaka starts to grab the temple. It's going to be a 5v5 here in the top lane. Muradin is ready for the flank, and he is eyeing Shrimpy. He wants to move in, dwarf toss, bring up the Stormbolt, maybe even drop down the Haymaker.
Yeah, Fnatic looking really heavily for that team fight right now. And here comes Darkmok. He's starting to go in. Yeah, there's the Jack. Immediate damage. Cleanse comes out. Darkmok trying to go for Shrimpy here. Already we're having a kill against Tassadar, completing the Season Marksman as well, giving him a bit more damage output here on the burst. Shrimpy's already using that against Leoric, but that initial kill was all that Fnatic needed. They're full on the chase now.
And there's Giants still pushing in the bottom lane, and they're starting to group up a pretty massive wave. Drag comes out on Leoric, which is who you want to go down there and clear that out. Leo being down big here for Fnatic, meaning Granit Gaming will have to send someone else to the bottom lane if they want to clear it up, and that's going to be Rhaegar, which means they can contest both the temples, and they're starting to siege on keeps.
Yeah, but to be honest, that siege giant is not going to get too much done anyways, but they have a 3 versus 5, so they can't contest any of the temples. So the big team fight is definitely what won Fnatic the position they have now. That's going to eliminate the keep at the top lane. Is it?
Ooh.
Oh, that's close.
Uno Mas shot.
But this shouldn't be a problem. Forza is already on the way.
Yeah, he's on the way. He's going to move in here. Drop down the hammer.
But
Me gusta.
I mean, if we want to nitpick, I still would have liked Fnatic to use one of their globals to clean out 2 more waves at the bot lane. They did have the time, and that would have put the siege giants in. Shrimpy going down again here, being picked.
He barrel rolled into that. because he wanted to get the kill. All he had to do was hammering an auto attack.
Shrimpy is a little bit too aggressive on Fawcett right now.
Yeah.
But again, if they clean out 1 or 2 waves at the bot lane before they go top, they had the time, that wasn't an issue. Those Siege Giants could have actually gotten value, because yes, they pushed the lane out, but they never ever did any damage towards the wall. There was never a threat towards the keep itself, and I think they could have set that up. But right now, Granit Gaming is on their way, I don't want to say back into this, but they're definitely starting to take control of the map again because they have that advantage in numbers.
They definitely wanted that fight. Couldn't quite find it though. Fnatic able to escape, thanks to Mount Fury and Roops. And they'll just wait for Fawcett to be here in about 20 seconds. So with it all being said and done, top right keep is taken out, so catapult pressure is moving in with a double comp for Fnatic, and Granit Gaming is getting pinched into a corner. And I think the best way to get out of this corner is to grab a boss. They start it immediately. Fnatic starts to move over. They need to buy time. 8 seconds, Fawcett will be up.
Yeah, and of course Granit Gaming knows that as well. They're going to be very aggressive about that. Raid boss is sharking around, trying to see if he can get an engage here. They're moving in. Here comes the pulse bomb. Mena is low, but he's not falling. Again, they're going for Leoric here. Fawcett is back. He's going to fly in any second right now, and the boss is still up. They're going for it, and Shrimpy should be here in time.
Yep, Smex is kiting away. Darkmon tries to get some damage in, but the boss is grabbed. Shrimpy just now flies in and not there in time. Hammering comes out. They're getting members low. Mane wants a reset.
Did he fly in?
He flew in a little bit too late.
Did he fly in? Because
I think he did, yeah.
Because I don't think he did. I actually think he just moved over. Like, I saw him walking towards the middle for a long time, and I'm not quite sure where. Maybe he used the flight right at the start and was trying to. I would love to see that again on the minimap. I mean, there was a big fight going on, so I couldn't.
Oh, he didn't even fly because he's flying top, so he definitely didn't fly.
Yeah, he didn't fly. He flies top instead, and now Pressure's up at the top lane.
Fnatic.
Interesting choice for sure.
They're looking for the core here. Now, Murden will be able to go back and buy some time. The rest of Fnatic needs to buy time here on the bottom left. The boss moves in. Granite Gaming has to go over there now. Falstad's working in those auto attacks, getting it low. It's down to 60. It's down to 50. Falstad still has full health. It's going to be close here as all the members of Granite Gaming are on the boss. One will fall as a reset comes in. Li Ming tries to go for Tracer. He gets the second one. 8% to 20, and Granite Gaming are able to get a win.
Granite Gaming with the victory.
So I'm happy that Granite Gaming gets a win, but
yeah. I'm happy for Granite Gaming, and I think they worked really well to get back into... every time they were falling behind, they did really well getting back into it. But I gotta say, Fnatic's double global is... I'm gonna be blunt here, it's pretty ass today. Like, I don't know what... Like, a lot of the things... I'm not in comms, so there's obvious information that we're lacking.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look clean at all today. We talked about that on Dragonshire already, and now when you're talking about it on Sky Temple, I believe there's two tools that we see on the side of Granite Gaming where they can dodge a gust. You have Leoric's Wraithwalk and you have the Dimensional Shift.
Sure.
But you also have Garrosh, so whoever goes in, you can throw them out. So his cooldown must have been ready on the fly because he was dead. He just came back. There's no way that wasn't ready, right? So I expected him to fly in, and he had the time, and then gust them. Instead, they kept the fly, and it felt like a conscious decision to fly top instead and try to rush. But I think it would have been a better choice to go for and make the boss play and try that. He's a bit aggressive today also with the barrels that we had. But I come back to pushing out the bot lane before you're going for these double temples. It just feels like such an obvious play if you are heavily focused on a double global setup, and they didn't use that. So they're playing with two globals, but I don't really see them use that like old Fnatic would have done on Dragonshire and here on Sky Temple.
I mean, it could be a learning exercise too, where they're trying to say, listen, let's just try to out macro, period, no matter what, even if it doesn't feel like the right decision in the moment. But it does feel a little bit off, that's for sure.
Let's not forget one thing. Yes, if you play against a weaker opponent, you can definitely try a few more things, or you can like try in an HGC setup to execute compositions that you're not 100% on board with just yet, or where you don't feel as comfortable as with others, even though you tested it in scrims already, because there's a huge difference between scrims and between HGC setup. But every map matters.
Yep.
And we have them in a situation where they just lost to Team Liquid, a team that is very likely to end up nose-to-nose with them when it comes to the end of the standings, and then every single map could be of importance. So dropping a map to Granite Gaming could become a problem. And for Granite Gaming, great. Fantastic play.
We're happy for you.
good kills, forced a lot of good fights. We talked about forcing fights in Dragonshire that they couldn't quite pull off. But on this map, they went for the boss several times when they thought they had an opportunity. They forced Fnatic into fights. That was exactly what they were supposed to do. But Fnatic, I think they play a lot worse today than they did last week against Team Liquid.
Never toy with your food or it will bite back. Let's go ahead and check out the cheers here as it continues to go up as you guys at home cheer for your favorite teams. We are currently sitting at 13,060,631 cheers as it continues to roll in.
I love that you actually read out the entire number every time. I would just go for 30 million.
That's whatever, man. We just go for it all the way. Dropping numbers here at the HGC. It's because I screwed it up so much now that I feel like I have to redeem myself in 2017. So, doing what I can, you know? Doing what I can. Let's go to Battleground at number 4 here as the series continues to live on. Granit Gaming getting their first victory here as they grab one map. Fnatic up 2-1 as we head to Volskaya Foundry.
First time that Fnatic has first pick.